A line has been drawn in the sand. At least, that's the story being told. A brutal narrative has been taking shape, not in a formal letter from the palace, but through a steady drumbeat of reports from well-placed royal insiders and commentators. And it's landed squarely at Prince Harry's feet, presenting him with what looks like a devastating choice. This isn't just about titles or tiaras anymore. This is about blood, legacy, and the future of his two children. He's being pushed to confront the one thing he's tried to avoid, the idea that his life with Meghan Markle in California could come at the ultimate price, the erasure of his children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, from the royal story. The message from the royal watching world is clear, the choice seems brutal, and the future of a whole generation of the Windsor dynasty hangs in the balance. For months, a story has been building, not in public proclamations, but in the carefully chosen words of those who follow the establishment. One after another, royal experts have started singing from the same hymn sheet, delivering a coordinated message that's become impossible to ignore. In effect, it's an ultimatum by proxy. The core of this so-called warning is this: as long as the bitter rift between Harry and Meghan and the monarchy persists, there's no clear path back for Prince Archie, who is now nearly 7, and Princess Lilibet, who is almost 5. According to these sources, the children will have no place in the streamlined monarchy of tomorrow while their parents remain at odds with King Charles and the Prince and Princess of Wales. Now, this isn't an official palace statement. Think of it more as a strategic leak, perhaps designed to apply maximum pressure. One of the most prominent voices in this chorus is royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams. He laid the situation bare with a chillingly direct assessment back in 2024, after Harry's legal battles over his security were resolved. Harry will undoubtedly be back in the UK now he has got his security sorted, Fitzwilliams stated, which paves the way for Meghan coming over, but she is hugely unpopular, so it is difficult to see how Archie and Lilibet would fit into the family in the future. Notice the brutal calculation there. Harry's return is seen as a given, but Meghan's presence is framed as the main roadblock. Her deep unpopularity in Britain is presented not just as a PR problem, but as a potential barrier to her children's integration into the family. This sentiment is echoed by Robert Jobson, a best-selling royal author with solid sources. He points to the kids' sheltered life in Montecito, California, as a fundamental complication. These are children who have grown up in California, largely shielded from royal life as we understand it, Jobson explains. He questions whether the children would even want a role, but more pointedly, asks whether the palace would welcome it. His conclusion is pretty grim. Reconciliation appears remote while the rift remains so deep. This warning taps into the very architecture of the modern monarchy. King Charles' vision of a streamlined institution has been his goal for decades. In this leaner version of the royal family, there's simply no room for part-time royals, and commentators argue, certainly no room for the children of a couple seen as actively undermining the institution. The narrative being sent to Harry is that his children are on the outside looking in, and the door might be closing for good. So how do we get to this point? This tension didn't just appear out of thin air. It's the culmination of years of a slow-motion car crash that began long before the couple stepped back as senior working royals in 2020. The fractures were blown wide open by the bombshell Oprah Winfrey interview, the tell-all Netflix series, and of course, Prince Harry's deeply personal and scathing memoir, Spare. Each event drove the wedge deeper. The most heartbreaking collateral damage in all of this appears to be the relationship, or lack thereof, between the Sussex children and their royal relatives. Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet are, by most accounts, strangers to their own cousins. Royal author Phil Dampier has described the situation as so sad, pointing out that Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis have instead reportedly forged close bonds with Zara and Mike Tyndall's children, who have, in a way, stepped into that family dynamic. Dampier wonders if, in the years to come, Archie and Lilibet will start asking their parents why they are estranged from the royal family. This all raises a crucial question. Was Meghan truly blindsided by the pressures of royal life? Critics have gleefully resurfaced a clip from Harry and Meghan's engagement interview in November 2017, where a seemingly prophetic Harry admits, "I tried to warn you as much as possible." However, the full context of that quote is key. Harry went on to explain that despite his warnings about the intense media scrutiny, we were totally unprepared for what happened after. It was a confession that both of them were overwhelmed by the sheer ferocity of the tabloid machine. Meghan's defenders argue just that. Her life as an actress on Suits gave her a taste of celebrity, but it was a different universe from the relentless, all-consuming nature of the British royal press. She's maintained she lived a relatively quiet life before Harry. A friend even noted that while she knew there would be attention, no one can really grasp what that looks like until you live through it. But for those who believe Meghan orchestrated her exit from the start, Harry's 2017 words are held up as the smoking gun, proof that it was all foretold. At the heart of the royal schism is what many insiders call the Meghan factor. While Harry is often seen as the wayward son, it's Meghan who is consistently framed as the catalyst who lured their prince away. This narrative is powerfully reinforced by her staggering unpopularity in the UK. While polls fluctuate, YouGov surveys in recent years have consistently shown her favorability rating to be incredibly low, with some polls showing as few as 1 in 5 Britons holding a positive view of her. This public perception has been fueled by a steady stream of damning accounts from royal authors, especially the famously anti-Sussex biographer, Tom Bower. In his 2023 book, Betrayed, while these are contested, tabloid-ready anecdotes, they speak to a wider belief in some royal circles that Meghan never intended to fit in. Bower even claims Queen Elizabeth II personally instructed that Meghan receive training for her role, but that the Duchess ignored all advice, allegedly believing she should be treated as God. This perception of Meghan as a disruptive force is compounded by the couple's activities in California. Their ventures, from the now-finished Spotify deal to their ongoing Netflix projects and Meghan's new lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, are often viewed by critics not as genuine attempts at financial independence, but as efforts to build a rival, commercialized royal court. This all feeds into the central fear within the monarchy, that the Sussex brand can only thrive by damaging the Windsor one. This is the core of the distrust, the reason the drawbridge seems to be pulled up, and the foundation upon which this brutal narrative has been built. And so, Prince Harry finds himself at what looks like an impossible crossroads. The narrative being pushed by royal commentators leaves him with two starkly different paths forward. What will he do? First, there's the path of reconciliation. This is what the monarchy, and likely a part of Harry himself, desires. But what would it actually take? It would almost certainly require a complete capitulation. It would mean Harry returning to the UK, perhaps for extended periods, to mend bonds with his father and brother. But the biggest concession would probably have to come from Meghan. She would likely need to agree to a much smaller public profile, stepping back from the quasi-royal persona she's built in America. Could she accept a future where she is sidelined, all for the sake of her children's uncertain place within an institution she has criticized? The alternative is the path of defiance. Harry could choose to stand by his wife, reject the pressure, and continue forging their own life in California. This would be a final severing of the threads connecting his family to the monarchy. In this scenario, Archie and Lilibet would grow up as wealthy American children, with a prince and princess title that becomes little more than a historical footnote. Royalty in name only, cut off from their heritage. This is the devastating nature of the perceived choice. It pits Harry's loyalty to his wife against the legacy of his children. Is King Charles the architect of this pressure campaign? Commentators speculate that the king, conscious of his legacy, is urging Harry to take control and bring his family back into the fold. And what about the children themselves? At nearly 7 and 5, Archie and Lilibet are starting to understand their world. Soon, they'll have questions. Why don't they see their grandfather, the king? Why are their cousins, the future king and his siblings, people they only see in pictures? Author Phil Dampier's warning hangs heavy. Will they one day resent the choices their parents made for them? This is the true weight of the situation. Another royal author, Tom Bower, has even stoked fears that a future King William could one day move to strip Archie and Lilibet of their titles altogether. While other experts like Richard Fitzwilliams believe such a move would cause public outrage, The very suggestion highlights how precarious their position is. Harry's decision isn't just about today. It's about protecting his children from a future of potential regret and royal repudiation. So, that's the landscape, and the stakes couldn't be higher. What do you think Prince Harry should do? Is this pressure from the royal watching world a necessary move to protect the monarchy, or a cruel tactic that puts two innocent children in the crossfire? Should Harry choose reconciliation, even if it means Meghan takes a back seat, or should he stand defiant? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. I want to know what you think about this unprecedented royal crisis. And if you appreciate this kind of deep dive, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. A line has been drawn. Prince Harry stands at a precipice, staring down a choice with no easy answer. On one side is his duty to his wife and the life of freedom they've built together. On the other is the weight of 1,000 years of history, the institution he was born to serve, and the royal heritage of his own children. The choice he makes will not only define his own future, but will send ripples through the House of Windsor for generations to come. It's a choice between love and legacy, a wife and a birthright. The world is watching, and the palace is waiting.